Hello everybody and welcome to Parks Bros, it's Drew here, and today I'm going to be talking about Disneyland Resort's bombshell that they dropped yesterday, and that is the fact that they are now planning potential expansions to both Disneyland and California Adventure, and are hoping to bring up these plans with the city of Anaheim within the next couple of years. Now, pretty much all of the information that I am talking about right now will be coming from the new website DisneylandForward.com, in which Disney lays out their potential plans for the resort within the next decade. Now, within this site, you can find a map, which at the moment is of course just concept, but it gives us a great look of what these new expansion areas of these two parks could look like. Now, in today's video, I'm only going to be looking at the California Adventure side of things. If you would like me to look at the Disneyland side of things, make sure to let me know in the comments. But the reason I'm only focusing on California Adventure for the time being is because while looking close at this concept map, I noticed a couple things that looked quite familiar that no one I know of has pointed out quite yet. Now, of course, none of this is confirmed. It is technically a concept image, so it can completely change from now. So please do not take this as gospel. When it comes to theme parks and planning, plans change all of the time. So before we get into this new expansion, a lot of people are theorizing that the new lands in this expansion for California Adventure include Zootopia, Toy Story Land, and Tron. Now, looking at least at this concept art, that makes no sense at all. But in the article that this is all taken from DisneylandForward.com, they do mention those three things being a major influence to the things that may be coming to California Adventure. So with that, let's move in to this new expansion plan. Let's start off by looking at the connection to California Adventure in the southernmost part of this potential expansion. As you can see, there will be a walkway from in between Incredicoaster and the pizzeria along that parade route. Now, this road will go across Disneyland Drive in probably some sort of bridge, and it leads into quite a tropical looking land with a major mountain or volcano located in the very center. But when you look up close with the volcano, you'll see some black lines swirling all over the place. That definitely looks like roller coaster track, or at least potentially an idea of a ride that could go there. Now, in the top right of this area, you can see at least what would be a station and brake run, if this is of course to be a coaster, as well as a separate section of track that leads into a maintenance barn. Outside of that, you can see quite a bit of water, which is definitely a theme with this entire new idea of an expansion, with there even being waterfalls at many areas of this land. Now, in addition to this, I did want to mention that there is a long straight track that leads toward the mountain or from it, which would probably signal some sort of lift hill or launch section into the mountain itself. And there is also something I wanted to mention, that this piece of proposed track, if it is a roller coaster, will be going over a pillar of some sort, which would most likely be used as some type of support or even a platform to help with maintenance and potential evacuations. Now, as we head to the southwestern portion of this land, there seems to be many indoor areas or potentially shops and a major bridge walkway, which comes in contact with some giant trees, or at least tree-like structures that have maybe fallen over and create an overhang, as well as many smaller buildings that potentially indicate smaller shops, or at least what I'm thinking, a meet and greet area. Now, this is definitely the land I am least convinced about, at least from these concept images, especially about its theme. But at the moment, I'm definitely leaning toward a Peter Pan / Pixie Hollow combination, with the center mountain being the main volcano on Neverland. That left side of the area would definitely be a bigger Pixie Hollow section with a better meet and greet area as well. And heck, maybe this idea of a roller coaster could take you flying above Neverland in a way that no Disney coaster has seen before. I will admit there are holes you can poke in this theory, because there is no obvious place for Skull Rock or even a pirate ship more specifically the Jolly Roger. But honestly, outside of Peter Pan and Pixie Hollow, the only thing I could think of is maybe Moana. But after looking at this concept image for quite a long time, that seems to be more and more of a stretch. But remember, I did say I was least convinced about the theme of this area, but I'm definitely convinced that at least in this image, there is a roller coaster present, which I am super excited for. Quickly before we move just a little farther north, I wanted to talk about the lower right-hand portion of this image, in which you can see a giant square building, which, in any theme park lover's mind, indicates a major show building for a new attraction. And I can't help but think this would definitely be the place for it, considering its shape and size. Now, speaking of that shape and size, we need to move north just a little bit to the biggest show building, or at least potential show building, in this new expansion, which is massive, and into the center of 3 different sections. On the barrier sides of this area, there are definitely less waterfalls, and a different color scheme altogether. It definitely feels a little more otherworldly in a way, and I'll be honest, when I first saw the rocks in the center, I was thinking maybe that's Skull Rock. But the more and more I was looking at it, and the more and more I was talking with my great buddy Birds on Coasters, we couldn't help but recognize that there is quite the similarity in looks between the 3 rock structures above water here and the 3 rock structures above water in Pandora at Animal Kingdom in Florida. Now, not only do those 3 rock structures, all connected by specific links, help that idea, but so does the ginormous show building that could potentially be housing something like Flight of Passage, which is notorious for its giant show building. In addition to all of this I'm already talking about, though, there are a lot more twists and turns in the main pathways here, as well as what seems to be 2 metal-like bridges at the northern section. In addition to this, there are many bigger buildings that definitely seem to take on that restaurant type of shape, or even maybe with the bottom right-hand building potentially even being Na'vi River Journey. Heck, I might be completely wrong on this one, but I can't help but think that there are a lot of glaring similarities between what this looks like overhead and what the original Pandora looks like too. Now we move to the farthest and northernmost of the 3 potential lands. Now this one I am more convinced than the others. That is easy to say. Now this land does feature some larger buildings indicating potentially some restaurants or even shops. But the interesting thing is that the major pathway texture changes completely into a weird looking sand dune type of style. Now my first thought was, desert, sand dunes, maybe Aladdin. And then I saw this. From overhead, there is a plain and easy to spot big cat statue. Now at first I was like, well, maybe that could be Aladdin's Cave of Wonders. But then I noticed that there were particular arm placements on this statue, and it matches exactly with the panther statue from Wakanda. This giant panther statue is the entrance into Mount Bashinga in Wakanda, which if you've seen the first film, you know that on the interior of this giant cave opening into the mountain, there is vibranium mines aplenty. Now, it does look like you might be able to enter through, or at least next to, with a small pathway, the show building that encapsulates the backside of the panther statue, and maybe we'll end up seeing some sort of attraction involving the mining system, or even take a ride on one of the many technologically advanced ships of the country. There are so many different possibilities that I am ridiculously excited. Now, outside of that panther statue, there's not too much, honestly, to add on to this area potentially being Wakanda, but it is incredibly apparent that they were going for that same look, at least with the placement of the arms, and I gotta say, I am more than suspicious. I will also mention that there is a weird orange-shaped thing that does not have the same color as indoor buildings or anything else in the land, really. So I am a little confused at what that could potentially be, so I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on that. Now, if we keep going north, that heads into the second gate for the park, which I think would be brilliant, especially in that placement. So if you like to walk to the parks, you don't have to walk all the way through downtown Disney to get into the park. I think that's honestly a brilliant and needed idea, but it also makes me curious to see how many people would rather use the original entrances in comparison. So with all that said, do you guys think my guesses are potentially right? Could we see Wakanda, Pandora, and Neverland in California Adventure? Or heck, am I dead wrong? Let me know in the comments below. Remember, I am just spitballing here, but we couldn't help but notice there were a lot of similarities between things pictured here and things Disney has worked on in the past. And if it really is these three things that I'm theorizing, I am more than excited. So anyway, that'll do it for us here. And if you liked this video, make sure to subscribe. We will definitely have more updates when they are able to come out on this new potential project, as well as plenty of other projects around Southern California theme parks. But until then, we'll see you on the next ride.